righty then. What's up, gang? Welcome. We are going live at 6 o'clock tonight because I was traveling all day getting back home to Cabo, so I am home. And first and foremost, I want to thank everybody that showed up at the captain's meeting last night for War Heroes on Water. We got quite a few brand new boats fishing in War Heroes on Water this year. Jason Cutter, we had a phenomenal day, didn't we, yesterday? And I'm trying to figure out how to get you that video, so I'll do my best. But yeah, we had a great captain's meeting last night at Anthony's house. It was really cool to see all the new boats that are in the tournament this year. Right now, we have 59 yachts in the War Heroes on Water tournament. That's a pretty spectacular number. And we have over 100 vets that are going to be fishing on these 59 yachts. It's going to be pretty spectacular. And this event kicks off on September 20th in Newport Harbor with a big parade through the harbor with the War Heroes and all the different yachts. And then out of the harbor and on our way out to fish for 3 days with our guys and gals. It's going to be a pretty spectacular event. This is the 8th year running. And just some numbers that I was listening to last night. They've raised over $800,000 so far, and we're hoping and praying that we get over $1.2 million raised this year, and all the money goes directly to Freedom Alliance. Anthony and War Heroes on Water takes no money. All the funding goes straight to Freedom Alliance and straight to the War Heroes. So that's a phenomenal cause, and it's going to be an absolute phenomenal deal. Maybe we'll start doing these at 6 o'clock on Fridays, Bob. Maybe that's our new time slot. I'm not sure. Before I got back today, I got a text message from my sister kind of pertaining to the Rockfish closures. And I was like, oh, my goodness, what are they going to do now? But I'll read you some of it. It's kind of weird. It's a good thing for a change. It doesn't make, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're finally doing a tiny bit of science the way I read it, which would be absolutely amazing for all of us if they actually did some science. But they're going to change some of the rules and regulations, which is absolutely incredible, into our favor. I know it's hard to believe. Maybe we just dodged another bullet. Maybe they're starting to understand that we, the people, actually have a say in this stuff. Like we say all the time on the podcast here, and we get everyone to show up. Soul Reaper, it's up to you if you want to go after sharks. There's billions of them now, and it's a legal fishery. As long as it's legal, I'm never going to tell anybody not to do it. My goodness, the amount of money we spend and the amount of time we spend on water, absolutely. If it's legal, absolutely go fish for it, for goodness sakes. Absolutely. And sharks are phenomenal to catch, and there's too many of them now anyway. So I'm going to read you a little bit about this rockfish thing. Dan and Kim, did you guys catch anything? And thank you for the beautiful picture, Kim. It came out great. And yeah, we're trying to figure out how Dan and Kim did yesterday. Maybe Dan will tell us here. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, John Stanley, but I'm just reading this stuff. I'm trying to figure it out because it was something my sister sent me to read on the plane. And what I'm getting at is they're actually are saying that they made a mistake, which I don't even know how they got them to say this. I want to make sure I read it proper. I'll get back to you guys in a minute, but no, everything's back to normal down here. You have a shark mapped out? Wow. Well, if it's got a tag in it, it's probably someone's pet. I wouldn't be messing with the tag shark. I wouldn't do that. I'm just trying to read through this to get to that part. On June 9th, 2025, a draft stock assessment for quillback rockfish off of California became this new, more robust assessment. A new, more robust assessment considered all available data resource, including newly available California Pacific life history information. It did not rely on proxy data from other states as the 2021 data moderated assessment had. In 2025, the assessment results indicated that the California quillback stock is healthy and is not overfished. So the 2025 assessment results in an indication that the California quillback stock is healthy, not overfished, a major reversal from the 2021 data moderated stock assessment. That's just absolutely incredible that they're even admitting this, gang, which is crazy. And I didn't think we'd ever see a time. So I'm kind of taken back and I'm kind of proud of them for doing that. In 2025, the assessment indicated a substantially higher allowable harvest limit than the current allowable harvest limit. For example, the new stock assessment estimated the overfishing limit, which is estimated at the amount that can be caught without risking depletion of the stock, of 13.5 metric tons, a significant increase from the 1.5 metric tons set in the federal regulations based on the 2021 data moderate. Despite the improved stock health, though, quillback rockfish retention will remain prohibited due to the stock assessment, which cannot stock assessment scales and expected harvest limits, which cannot be accommodated. Therefore, the conservative emergency identified in 21 is no longer in existence, and the associated death-based fishery restrictions for other cohabitating groundfish species are unwarranted. Gang, that's some pretty big news and some pretty big words that they're using to describe that they made a massive mistake. And I believe a lot of it has to do with we the people showing up, and also the amount of money that has been taken away from these quote unquote organizations that are trying to save fishing. So to have them actually come out and say they made a mistake and then they're changing, I could go on and on reading this for a while, but any of you that want a copy of this, just text message me. I'll text it right over to you. You guys can read it for yourself. But they're pulling down a bunch of the restrictions. They're pulling down the depth limit restrictions from Point Conception to the Oregon border and all kinds of other stuff. I didn't read anything about changing that made up April 1st date. It was March 1st forever, and then they just changed it to April 1st for obviously no reason at all, because all the data and all the science they have is totally wrong. So there you go. And we, the people, once again, I think are having a massive impact on it, because when we showed up to those Fish and Game Commission meetings on the Zoom meetings, all we asked is that, can you please provide the science? And now they're finding out that they don't have any science, and the science that they have is super, super incorrect. So those are big statements. And I think it's absolutely, I'm with you, John Stanley. I trust nobody. We want to see it. But it just is amazing that they put out this it's just amazing that they put this out and put it in writing that they made a mistake. Yeah, I'm very thank you, Jason. Yep. Did you catch anything, Dan, or not? He won't answer us. He must have gone to his safe place. Oh, you got Rockfish. Okay, that's all I wanted to know if you caught some. Daniel Rubin will be with us tomorrow. It's Real Quick Saturday, gang. Roy Rose was going to meet us tonight and be on, because he's taking the boat up the line right now on the Royal Star. He was going to be our guest tonight, and I was pretty excited about it, but then some stuff came up. They got some work to do on the boat right now, so he didn't make it, but he'll be with us again real soon. I knew that he would be. But I'm going to send this to anybody that wants a copy. I see Dave Burris, you sent me that. I'll send it to you as soon as we're done with the show. And we are as live as we can possibly be, John Emerson. It couldn't be any liver than we are right now. We are live, live, live. Yes, I am. And we're talking. They admitted that they made a mistake on the Rockfish assessment, and they're going to open up some depth limits, and they're not going to change the date, and they're kind of dancing around that. The stock looks great, but they're very, very leery of opening up the fishing. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It'll all be revealed. But just the fact that we have in writing that they made a mistake, I think that's pretty bitchin'. I really do. I'm pretty excited about the whole thing, just seeing that they admitted. And I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you truth, gang. Always truth, truth, truth. And that's the statement we just got from Fish and Game Commission. So we'll see what happens with that. But I thought it would be good to go back through what we had talked about on shows in the past of how important it is with the live bait fishery. That is second to none. Southern California's live bait fishery, there's nothing like it on the planet Earth. And we are so close. We're just hanging by a piece of dental floss to keep the live bait fishery open, gang. And there's no threat of lack of live bait. There's no threat of lack of anchovies. There's no threat of lack of sardines. But we have an amazing live bait fishery on the West Coast. No one else does what we do. No one else has a fleet of bait boats going out every single night and fishing for bait in Southern California and then dropping it off into the live bait receivers. So you can pull up and exchange your money for live bait. Not at the level that we're talking about, not pulling up and putting 35 or 40 or 50 scoops of live bait on your sport boat, or pulling up and putting 5 or 6 scoops of live bait on your private boat. I mean, down here in Cabo, the live bait fishery is pretty weird. You pull up and pay could be a bucket. If you want a bucket of sardines, live sardines, it comes in a bucket. The stuff is not treated right. It's not handled the way that the bait companies in Southern California handle it. Most of the stuff's half dead by the time you get it out of the bucket onto your boat and then take it out fishing. It's not a real hardy fish like our anchovies or sardines. So you got to be really, really careful when you're out there sharing what's going on in Southern California. And you went to the bait barge yesterday and they didn't have the bait you wanted, the amount you wanted. That doesn't mean there isn't any bait in Southern California, gang. And I talked about it a couple times on our podcast last couple weeks and then, oh my goodness, then some of the powers to be, like the bait companies, got to see the garbage you guys were spewing. And believe me, they took down your names, and there's going to be some stuff coming out. Those of you that thought it was cute to share that we shouldn't have a live bait fishery in Southern California, they saw what you wrote. And believe me, you didn't do yourself any favors. And you silly suckers, you guys have pictures of your boats on your social media platform. So that's kind of lame, because we're fighting a really gnarly uphill battle keeping live bait fishery in existence in Southern California. And like I keep saying, we're blessed with the amount of bait we have here, and there's bait everywhere. But the supply wasn't meeting the demand. Now they're catching up, and now they're going to be probably pretty good shape here for the next few months. But that doesn't mean there'll be a night where they miss. It's fishing. Let's be perfectly honest. Just because you miss, it'd be like Daniel Rubin and John Emerson going out fishing on his boat tomorrow, and he caught bluefin 5 days in a row, and he went out tomorrow and he didn't catch a bluefin. That doesn't mean all the bluefin are gone. So don't overreact to stuff like this. We are super spoiled in Southern California with our live bait fishery. Do not try to help close another fishery. And then what I thought was super important was, let's talk about this live bait fishery, and let's talk about this bait tank on your boat. And let's talk about how you can keep your bait alive. Because I read a lot of stuff once I went down the rabbit hole of what you guys were posting about the live bait. And I was reading stuff. Oh, the bait was terrible today. The bait all died on the way out. I'll guarantee you 99.9% of that is your bait tank. It isn't the bait they caught, because they catch from Central California to the Mexican border. Our bait companies are second to none, and they take the highest care that you can possibly take of the live bait they catch. But if your bait tank isn't working perfect, your bait tank will kill the bait. I don't care if it's the most liveliest bait you've ever seen in your life, and they call it cured bait. If your bait tank sucks, it's going to kill that bait. Here's some of the ways you can help your bait tank to not suck. First of all, can the bait swim in a circle? Remember, and we had this conversation at the War Heroes last night, the bait tank is not an aquarium. You don't want bubbles in the water. If there's bubbles in your water, that will kill your anchovies and your sardines dead, because they can't process those air bubbles. That's not how their gills are put together. There has to be clean, fresh water from the ocean flowing in your bait tank. You don't want an aerator, and you do not want those tiny little bubbles. If your bait is dying every time you go out, it's not the bait company. It is your bait system. Now, if you look in the bait tank without any bait in it, and you see micro size air bubbles, that'll kill your, that's just like pouring bleach in there. That'll kill your bait so fast, it'll burn their sides off of them. It doesn't help. So you want to make sure there's no air in your bait system. And air can be caused from the connection where you hook the bait pump up. It can be one of the elbows or one of the hose clamps, or any number of things from the bait pump to your tank. So you need to go through that and make sure it's all flowing with no airlocks in it. And yeah, John Stanley, absolutely. And then I don't care if your bait tank is 2,000 gallons or if it's 12 gallons. When you put the plug in the tank and turn on the water, you have to allow it to fill up in 8 minutes. Not 6 minutes, not 10 minutes. Why does that matter? Well, if the water's flowing in there too fast, the fish does not have a chance to swim against the current. So that's super important to understand, that it can be too fast. The water can be flowing in there too quick, and it'll rip all the scales off. It'll slam all the bait up against the walls of the bait tank and up against your drain. And then the other thing is, it can't be too slow, because if it's too slow, the little fish, the anchovies or the sardines in there, are going to burn up all the oxygen in the water before they have a chance. 8 minutes, that's how long the bait tank. I don't care what your sister's, aunt's, cousin's mom told you. I don't really, you know me, I put out a ton of videos where I tell you that. I don't really care. I'm just telling you that it has to fill up in 8 minutes, period, end of story. Anything more, anything less is not bueno. And if your tank is filling up faster, or if it's filling up slower, if it's filling up slower, your bait pump's not big enough, or your bait pump's probably done, and you need to replace it. And if it's filling up faster, it's because you don't have a valve in there to slow the water down. So you want to be able to slow that water down. So you can slow it down by just get a ball valve at any store, any plumbing store or Home Depot or anywhere, one of those plastic ball valves with the little red handle you turn, and you can change the way it fills up. And believe me, we adjust the flow on all the yachts I've ever run and all the boats I've ever run. Marley's running around back there. He's super happy that Dad's home. Absolutely. But it's imperative that you figure out the flow of your bait tank. Okay. So air bubbles and the flow, those are super important. And then hang on with me for a minute. I want to show you the sponsor of our show is Captain Todd Manser and Captain John McCarty of McCarty Yacht Sales. We can't do these shows without our great sponsors. And Todd has just got his hip replaced. So if any of you have been trying to get a hold of Todd, he's going through recovery right now. So that's why he's not answering his phone. He got his hip replaced. He's doing well, but he's not answering his phone. So that's why he's not answering it. But check out this video they made me a couple months ago, gang. If you guys want to sell your boat or buy a boat, you want to check these guys out. They are the real deal. They know exactly what's going on in this industry. Check them out.
Hey guys, Captain Todd here with McCarty Yacht Group, Manson Marine, proud sponsor of Your Saltwater Guide. I'm here with my good buddy John McCarty.
Hey guys, how you doing?
The broker for McCarty Yacht Group. And guys, I just want to tell you it's springtime. It's time to start buying and selling. If you're looking to buy a boat right now or looking to sell a boat, make sure you give us a call at McCarty Yacht Group. Guys, you know how to get a hold of me at 949-547-7748. We're sitting on the Pescatory right now. This is like office number 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember where we're either in the office, at home, on a boat, but this is one of the places we do business, guys. But if you're looking for somebody to well represent you, we are a different breed of cat, guys. We work on boats for a living. We're going to make sure to sell your boat for the top price, or if you're looking to buy a boat, we're going to make sure you get something that's not a horrible project for you. So anyways, give us a call. We look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, buddy. That's my good buddy Todd Manser and John McCarty. And definitely, gang, I know it's that time of year. Things are happening. People don't want to upgrade their boats or get rid of their boats. No one's going to help you out more than Todd and John. So go check them out at McCarty Yacht Sales. If you didn't catch Todd's phone number because he's kind of fast, right below me, right below my ugly face on the screen there is their QR code for their company. You can just hit that with your phone, take a picture of it, go back and go to the McCarty Yacht Sales afterwards and check it out. Get Todd or Johnny's phone number and you can give them a call and find out. It's always fun just to find out what your boat's worth, you know, just to know what it's worth. What's the chances of selling my boat and how that all works. That's always a good feeling to have, at least to know what it's worth. And then you can either share that information with your spouse or hang on to it because you thought it was worth way more. But these guys, like Todd said, they're a different breed. They care about you. They care about the boat. Plus, they both have been captains since they were little kids. So they know what you need to know about a boat. So check it out, gang, at McCarty Yacht Sales. And I'll leave the QR code up there for a little bit longer. So we went over this thing with the live bait, and it's super important to make sure that your bait tank's going to support that live bait. Let's think about it for a minute. Scoop a live bait right now, $60, somewhere between $50 and $60. And then if you're a nice human being, you tip your bait barge attendant. You want to make sure that that live bait that you just paid all that money for is going to be alive when you arrive at your destination. So pay attention, look at the bait tank, all these little tweaking things that we're talking about. You need to do it before you put the bait in there. After you put the bait in there, it is what it is. You don't want to start turning knobs and turning buttons and doing stuff because you already forgot to do it before. And your bait tank may keep the bait alive. It may not, but you can't be turning knobs now because now you're going to kill your bait because you don't even know how long it takes to fill it up because you forgot to do that before you started. So every one of you, before you get to the bait barge in the morning, fill that thing up and it's pretty simple. You set your stopwatch to 0, turn on the pump and click your stopwatch and watch how long it takes to fill it all the way up to the top. And then make the adjustments accordingly. And then the next thing I would say, was when you get to the bait barge, we don't want to go at 6 o'clock in the morning. We talk about it all the time. You want to get to the bait barge at 5 in the morning or at 7. Why? And I talk about this on my live seminars a lot when I'm out in public. The bait barge is the most busiest it could possibly be at 6 o'clock in the morning. For some reason, that's when everybody thinks they need to go fishing. So if you leave at 5 in the morning, there's a pretty good chance there won't be a line. And if you leave after 7 in the morning, there's a pretty good chance there won't be a line. But from 5:15 to 7 or till 5:15 to 6:15, it's or 6:30, 6:45, it's packed. It's full speed and they're slinging bait as fast as they can. But here's the thing. When you pull up to the bait barge when there's not a big line, you can ask the guys, hey, is it okay if we load the bait light? What does that mean? A lot of people, I've made these videos and people go, what do you mean load it light? When you're putting the bait in the net, if you watch the sport boats, the long range boats, especially when they're loading the bait, they're putting a very minimal amount of bait in the scoop. Why is that? Whoa, Marley, you're flying all over back there. The reason being is the more bait in that scoop, the more tendency it has to crush the bait, rip all their scales off. It puts the bait in a high stress situation. Remember, this is a living animal, so all these things matter. And then you're going to take that bait, put it on your boat, and drive 100 million miles an hour all the way out to where you're going to go fishing at. So these things that I'm talking about matter. So if you can get to the barge when there's no one there, you can ask them to load it light. If you get there when it's packed, they're first of all, they don't want to listen because they don't have time. They got 30, 40 boats behind you all waiting to get bait. They got to sling that bait on your boat as fast as they can. That's just the way it is. But if you can get there when there's not a big line and you can ask them, hey, can we load it light? Especially if you're going out for more than a day. If you're going to go for a couple days or something, you want that bait to be put in the bait tank as gently as you can so that you can get the best product you can possibly get on the boat. So that is another very, very important thing. Another thing that's super important, and this goes absolutely bananas if you don't do it, keep the dead bait out of your bait tank. If you got no air and you got an 8-minute flow and the bait's allowed to, hold on before we go to the dead bait. The bait has to be able to swim in a circular motion. That means the water has to flow in one direction. If you have water squirting out of your bait pump in like 4 or 5 different directions, there's no way that bait's going to be alive, gang. The bait has to be able to swim against the current. People go, well, which way do you want it to flow? It doesn't matter. It can flow clockwise or counterclockwise. That does not matter. What matters is that it flows in one direction. How would I know if it's just stop, slow down. Remember, you're filling it up in 8 minutes. Slow down, stand there and watch the water when it's going in there. Is it circulating or is it just flowing straight in? A lot of boats, and I made those videos a couple weeks ago, have a little tiny diverter and it just fires that water in there as hard as it can fire it in there. Looks like a fire hose fired in there. And then you look in your bait tank and it looks like someone threw a bunch of glitter in there because it's just ripping all the scales off. And if you got a big foam on the top full of scales, you know your bait tank's not working correctly. And all these things matter, and they matter a ton. They matter more than anything. Like I said, when you guys read these posts on social media and people saying the bait sucked today, 99.9% of the time, it's not the bait, it's their boat. It's their bait tank. And you know, John Emerson or Dave Burris or Jason Cutter or Dan Smith or Renee or any of you guys, your bait pumps need to be changed out once in a while. It's not going to work forever, especially if you fish a lot. We're going to be going up there in it sounds like maybe in September, maybe right before War Heroes, around the 14th or 15th. We're going to go up there and do a seminar. I was just talking to the Bass Pro guys last night at the Anthony Shea War Heroes captain's meeting, and we're thinking about going up there. And so that bait tank, gang, the bait pump, you should have a spare bait pump on your boat with the quick release. Quick release on the where the hose hooks up, and quick release where it hooks up through your hull. And then the other thing is quick release for the red and the white, or the red and the black wires, the positive and the negative, for lack of a better word, so that you can just pull those off when the bait pump stops working and hook it back up. And the rule pumps that they sell at West Marine, they come with a guarantee for X amount of years. So it's kind of cool to have a couple of pumps and switch them out. Because you guys, even John Stanley with his bait pump, or his bait tanks, his bait pump could be a problem. Anybody's bait pump could be a problem. On the Wild and Sack, that big Hatteras I ran for years, we had a swimming pool pump, a 1.5 horsepower swimming pool pump. And gang, that thing went out in the 9 years I was on the boat. That thing went out twice. Why? Because it's on all day long, day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. And you guys, John Stanley and the rest of you guys, now that you're members of my website, you guys are going to spots and setting all day and catching zillions of fish, and that little bait pump's working its ass off. If the bait pump starts to make a humming sound, or you hear that, Houston, we have a problem. It means your bait pump's about to go out. The bearing's probably going out on it. That bait pump's not supposed to make noise. It didn't make noise for the first year and a half you had it. If it's starting to make noise, that should scare the crap out of you. You got to change that out. And you don't want to wait until you're out there on the ocean, especially if you went offshore, when these Dorado and yellowfin show up in the next month and a half and all this stuff starts to happen. You want to make sure your bait pump is ready. So even the superstars of fishing, you guys want to check that bait pump, and you want to make sure you have a spare on the boat, because there's nothing more embarrassing than taking your friends out there and the bait pump goes out and you don't have a spare. You're pretty much dead in the water. Now, I know there's some superstars of fishing here that fish plastics and fish lures and poppers and all that. Yay, congratulations. That is so cool that you're able to do that. But it's not going to keep that school of tuna or whatever around you. Do you think that the sport boats that catch fish for a living day in and day out, just like carrying hundreds of thousands of gallons of water up and down the California coast every day, because bait's not important? No, it's super important. Now, if you're the best caster in the world and all you want to do is go out and catch 1 or 2 fish a day, then go ahead. But the rest of us want to catch a bunch of fish. And when we have our friends on the boat, they want fish because we told them we were going to catch fish. So get that bait thing taken care of. It's super important to make sure that you keep your bait system working in the best way that you possibly can. It's a deal killer. It's the worst thing in the world. And if you're having trouble with the bait every time you pull up to the bait barge, your bait's not living, you got to check out these things I'm talking about. Do we have air bubbles? Air bubbles are like pouring acid in on the bait. You look in that bait tank and see if there's air bubbles. That's a killer. The other one is, oh yeah, that worn out bait pump. Isn't that great, Matt? And I can hear it when we're doing the live shows sometimes. It's just absolutely amazing. When that bait pump starts to make noise, it's time. When you hit the dock, we're going up to West Marine or wherever we get our products, our bait pumps or whatever. We're going up there. But remember, West Marine has a, here, I'm just trying to help you guys. Remember that. I know West Marine's in business to make money. Okay. But Rule, the company that makes the bait pumps, that Rule that West Marine sells, there's a guarantee. If you buy that bait pump, that it's going to work. So buy 2. When you go, I know it's 135 or 140 or 220 or whatever the amount of money it is. Buy 2. Why, Dave? When the one quits working or starts to make noise, you can take it up to the store and change it in for a brand new one. So if you buy 2, you're never going to have to buy another one for the rest of your life. So it's a one-time purchase. And I've never even shared that information on the website or anywhere. I'm telling you, it's gold. I had my 22-foot Wellcraft, always had 2 bait pumps on there. I think I bought them back in 2016 or 2017. I don't think we ever bought another bait pump, but we changed them out quite often. So there you go. So try that. Okay. $480 for a rule pump right now. Wow. That's crazy. Whatever it is though, you're only going to have to buy them once, gang, because they have a guarantee on them. And then you just switch it out with the quick connect, switch it right out, and then you're back in the game again. And it's easy. It's not going to affect you, but I'll tell you what will affect you. If all your bait dies when you're out there, or if you get to where you're going and you have no bait. Now, another thing I was starting to talk about and I didn't finish it up, dead bait in your bait tank. That's a killer, gang. If you have 1 or 2 dead baits in the bottom of your tank, setting in the bottom of your tank, next time you're out on your boat, slow down a little bit and look in your bait tank. And if you see a couple of dead baits in there, now, not if you're driving 30 knots going bluefin fishing and driving by all the bluefin, but if you're slowed down, anchored at Catalina or anchored at John's favorite spot at La Jolla, or, you know, over at San Clemente Island, John Emerson style, stop. Look in the bait tank and see if you see any dead bait in there. And if you do, really slow down and watch. Your bait tank's going to look like a coffee percolator. If you watch, the acid coming off the dead bait is going to percolate up to the surface and then spread out like an oil slick. That is so toxic. It kills. Dead bait will kill your good bait in the bait tank. I learned that when I was a kid working on long range boats. We had a siphon that would siphon the dead bait off the bottom of the bait tank back in the day, because it was super important to keep the dead bait out of the bait tank. Or you'd take your bait scoop and you just tap it really lightly on the bottom of your tank. As you tap, all the live bait will move away and you can get the 2 or 3 dead ones out of the tank, bring them up slowly, bring them up, grab them out of the net. If there's any live bait, leave it in the net, in the water, take the dead baits and throw them over the side, and then let the live baits back out in the tank. Remember, one bait could make your whole trip, but dead bait is a killer for your bait tank. It is going to kill your bait. So it's super important. Also on the back of your boat, if you guys have a pipe and Dave Burrs, yeah, through hole, absolutely. But if you have a pipe on the back of your boat that's what you're using to suck the water up, that's no bueno either, because when you take off like a bat out of hell on your way out to go tuna fishing and you don't have any binoculars and you're just driving around from boat to boat looking for a boat that's hooked up, yeah, check out Buckethead Bait Tanks. John Stanley, my man, my myth, my legend right there. There he is. There's his, you guys can click on his little Buckethead Bait Tanks right there at Buckethead Bait Tanks. Click that on that. You'll get right to John if you guys want a bait tank made for your boat. John makes some pretty spectacular bait tanks. He's featured on our website. We talk about my good buddy John Stanley all the time. If you need a good bait tank, that's where you're going to get it from. And Crappie Barbecue. Hey, what's up, buddy? Haven't seen you since the big catfish tournament with River Cats Tackle. But I thought it would be super important. Yeah, he builds bait tanks. They're pretty bitchin' too. They work really good. Marley is on fire tonight. He is flying. Look at him. You heard his name. He's just jumped like 6 feet through the air to land on the other side. What is going on, little buddy? Why are you so excited? What are you so excited about? Come here. Yeah, he's fired up. But I thought it would be important to talk about bait because of the fact that all these people were trying to get our bait taken away from us, which just blows my mind. And I'm like, wait a minute, we need to talk about how special it is. Those of you that are watching in Florida and Texas and Louisiana and on anywhere that's not Southern California, you don't really quite understand what we're talking about. We have bait companies that spend all night, big boats like Deadliest Catch style boats. They're out there all night with a net and they're catching us small bait fish, 4 to 5 inch bait fish, sometimes a little smaller, sometimes a little bigger, but the average bait fish we're looking for is 4 or 5 inches long. And these guys are going out all night with the captain and the crew, and they're fishing for bait all night long. And then they come in. Sometimes they come in before you guys even get to the bait barge and they dump all the bait in the bait barge. Sometimes they come in hours afterwards because it was a tough night fishing. But what most people in Southern California don't understand is they have to fish every night. It's fishing. So they're out there fishing and they're fishing their ass off to make sure that you have bait to go fishing the next day. Another thing that no one understands, and I've had to spend a lot of time trying to educate everybody, including some of the guys that work for me. The sport fleet in Southern California supports the bait company. A lot of people don't understand that. The sport boats, you guys call them party boats, or you guys call them the word my father hated more than anything. You call them cattle boats. Oh my gosh, if my dad could hear me right now, he'd smack me in the side of the head. He used to say, it's never been a cow on any of his boats, and he owned 9 of them. But those boats are what support the bait company. Your private boat, buying bait 4 or 5 times a year or whatever, that doesn't support the bait company. In the wintertime, spring, summer, fall, all year round, all the sport boats are paying a percentage of their gross per day to the bait company. So you know who gets bait first? No matter how hard you whine, no matter how hard you whimper, sport boats are always going to get the bait first. And then if there's anything left over, it's called cash sales. Those are the people. That's where you guys are going to come in on your private boats and be allowed to buy some of the bait. But boy, if there isn't bait for our sport boat fleet, it's going to be hard to support a bunch of bait boats with your little sea swirl going out there and buying a half a scoop every couple of weeks. You're not going to support them. So people don't understand that the sport boats support the bait company, and then the private boats, that's just a little icing on the cake, if you will, after all the sport boats get taken care of. But sport boats are always going to come first, no matter how much you whine, no matter how much you whimper. It's just the way it is, gang. And that's why I always tell you, don't go to the bait barge at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because the half-day boats and the 3/4-day boats, sport boats, cattle boats, party boats, whatever you guys call them, we call them sport boats in the grown-up world, they go out at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then the half-day boat goes out at 6:30. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 boats up and down the coast that go out at 5 in the morning, and there's a few that go out at 7, but 99.9% of them, if you look at their schedule, they go out at 6 a.m. So, wow, that's incredible. $10 a pound for frozen squid right now at Turner's. That's absolutely unbelievable. But you know what? It's all about money and fuel. Those boats don't run on thank yous. They all run on fuel, just like your car. And as the price of fuel goes up because of your phenomenal governor here in the state of California, the price of squid's going to go up. It's our number 1 export in California. People don't understand that, but squid is our number 1 export. Our good buddy Marty, that's been on the show a couple times, that runs that light boat, They just caught 70 tons 2 nights ago out at Santa Barbara Island. Pretty spectacular. But those boats are running on fuel, so it's super important to understand as we move along, things aren't going to get less expensive. They're only going to get more expensive as long as Potato Head's in office. But I hear he's going to take out the president. So made that comment this morning, which was pretty unbelievable to see a leader saying that, but whatever. I think it's all just a bunch of comedy anyway. I don't think any of it's real. Like I say it here on my show every day, there's only one place you get the real truth. It's right here on this show every day. It might not be the truth you like, but it is the truth. So the few things that we've covered tonight is how to handle your bait, how to make sure your bait tank works proper. Then the last thing I'm going to leave you here with is the way your bait tank is designed. Okay? The way your bait tank is designed is going to have a lot to do with how your bait's going to live. If the bait tank isn't circular, if it's oblong and it doesn't give the bait enough room to turn and swim, that's going to kill your bait. If your bait tank's in the corner of one side or the other, in the back corner of the boat, that is where the bait's going to get the living bejesus beat out of it all the time. And I've had this conversation with 100,000 people if I've had it with one. Bait tank dead center in the middle of your deck. People go, oh, I don't want to lose the room. Then don't fish. Try something else. Try golfing or harbor cruising or whale watching or something. But if you're going to fish, that area dead center in the middle of your deck should be right where that bait tank goes. That's the most stable part of your whole boat. That is the place that's going to get the least amount of turbulence in the bait tank. It's going to allow your bait to live the best, and it becomes a focal point of your boat. I don't care if you have a 20-foot Sea Swirl or an 80-foot Viking. That bait tank goes dead center in the middle of the deck. It allows your friends and customers to have somewhere to hang on to when they're in that back deck. It allows them somewhere to put their bottle of wine or their beer or their soda or their water. When you're doing a harbor cruise or a whale watch cruise, they can set some chairs around the bait tank. It becomes a table. If you get the great Don Stanley to make you a cool tabletop like he did on the Viking, and I'll show you all that tomorrow. I just made a really cool video for Don Stanley about his beautiful cutting boards that he makes. But if you have that beautiful cutting board on the top of your bait tank, it becomes a table when your wife and kids or your husband or whoever doesn't enjoy fishing but wants to enjoy the boat. That bait tank, you put a nice lid on it and it works phenomenal. And yeah, that song is absolutely hilarious. I saw it today, Mike Lewis. It's crazy. Yeah, check that song out, you guys, about our great governor. And then that bait, if it's not round or oval in shape, and if it's smushed to the corner, if the water doesn't flow in a circular motion, if it's got bubbles, if it doesn't fill up in 8 minutes, all these things are problems that I see all the time when I go on a private boat. And I was blessed to be your saltwater guide for a long time before I ever built my website, Your Saltwater Guide. I used to go with you on your boat and teach you how to fish on your boat and go out with you and show you how to use your bait tank and show you how to load bait and show you how to do all the things. Then I built that beautiful website, yoursaltwaterguide.com, about, well, let's just say 2017. I know, John. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I want to make sure I answer the people that are asking stuff. And hey, we got Buckethead Bait Tank up there because I read your comment. So be careful. You put your bait in the back starboard corner. Okay. Well, do this next time. Put anything in that back starboard corner. Go watch the water in that bait tank while you're running as hard and fast as you are. You're just beating the living bejesus out of that bait, Joe. You're just beating the tar out of it. Yeah, and the water's pouring out of that corner. You got no flow, and the poor little fish are just getting the crap beat out of them. Everything matters with live bait. The amount of money we spend on that live bait. Oh, perfect, Bill. Yeah, absolutely. It works great, huh? Did you mount it in there, or was it already on there when you bought it? If it was on there when you bought it, it's someone that listens to me, and if not, I'm sure you listened to me before. That's why it's where it is. And gang, it really matters. And like I say, a lot of times when I'm out on show floor and on boat shows and stuff, I call the boat out right away. I don't care. These are live wells. They're not bait tanks, although the dealers and the brokers and everybody sell them as a bait tank. It's a live well. If you catch a largemouth bass, you take that and get it weighed up, and you'd be super happy. Take it in, and we'll bring the news crews down and everybody, and we'll have a little party. You'll have the first largemouth bass ever caught in the ocean. It'll be a great day. And as we move along here, gang, tomorrow we'll have Daniel Rubin with us, ReelQuick Fishing, and he'll be talking about his trip that got canceled. He'll be talking about the other trip he went on that the boat broke down, and he'll be talking about his cool products and what he's got coming up and how everything's working. And as we cruise into next week, gang, on Tuesday, I'm throwing my good buddy Phil Freeman a bone, and he's going to be on the podcast with us for the history of sport fishing with Michael Folks. Phil Freeman, Michael and I have been friends for a very, very long time, and he does a phenomenal job with the morning briefings and keeping us all up to date on what's happening out on the water. And like I try to tell everybody in the industry, I am very blessed with my success, but I want to share with all of my friends and family. When I invite you to come on the show, gang, believe me, I'm trying to help you. It's not, my people are going to watch you regardless. But if you want to come on the show and be a part of, like Roy Rose, Tim Ekstrom, Phil Freeman, Paul Hebert, Tito Ortiz, all the different people that have been on the show, I'll have you on, any of you. I don't care. It's fun to share what we all know about fishing in the ocean or fishing. I mean, look at my good buddy John Collins over there, and V and Lisa and the gang over at River Cats Tackle. We are having the time of our lives. We're sharing both our viewers, and they're sharing their viewers with us, and everybody's getting along. I mean, Matt Ryan, Darren getting to fish with those new hooks, and my son going to catch catfish. Just sharing what we're doing with this social media thing, that's what it's all about. Yeah, 976 Tuna. Philip and I worked together on that for a long time. He helped me out tremendously back in the day. He was the big time code group. You could call Philip, find out where the barracuda were biting, find out what anything was going on back in the day. But this industry, we need to collaborate, gang. Collaboration is the key to this, keeping fishing open, all sharing with each other. And those of you that are jealous, I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm just going to keep working harder than all of you. I put out 3 brand new videos every single day. I do a live podcast 6 days a week. I do live fishing shows 3 or 4 days a week. I got a monkey. I got a beautiful wife. I work harder than all of you combined. I promise you, no one puts out more content than me. That's why I'm successful. So don't be jealous. Get on the train. Let's go. I'll have you on as a guest anytime. Haters are going to hate, and it is what it is, but it's only because they're jealous. So thank you all very much for tuning in on this 6 o'clock show. I know Bob wants me to keep doing them at 6 o'clock. All I can do is check out the views and see where we're at the end and see how it worked out and compare it to our normal Friday numbers. And if this 6 o'clock thing works better, believe me, I'll do it at 6 o'clock. But really, the amount of work I do on a daily basis, being off at 1 o'clock every day is very good for the soul. It's very good for everything we're doing. I will be here for you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We'll be talking going through the fish reports, talking to everybody that's been out fishing this week. Justin's going to be dropping the anchor at San Clemente Island here pretty soon. He took the boss and Joey's his deckhand, and they're over at San Clemente Island getting ready to go fishing. I just totally stoked that he's over there checking out my favorite island in the world. He's going to go try to catch some sea bass and yellowtail and have a good time with the boss's family. So keep an eye on that. We'll see what happens. Captain Al Clowers going out fishing tomorrow. Hopefully he goes live. I just didn't have time for live today. I had too much stuff going on. And Mike Lewis, I'm like, I thought you were at work, but cool that you got to watch this. And V and John and Tim and yeah, you owe me, Tim, and I like it that way. And everybody else out there, Matt Ryan, get to work. John Stanley, Buckethead Bait Tanks. Thank you all very much for always supporting Your Saltwater Guide. And anybody I forgot, Renee, I hope you're doing better. I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Be with us. See ya. If you guys have been fishing this week, call in tomorrow morning. If you don't have my phone number, it's on every single bathroom wall in California. You can find it there. But if you don't have my phone number, somebody on here will give it to you. I'll give it to you. It's easy. Call me in the morning. Let's talk about what you caught this week and tell everybody how cool fishing is. We need you on the show, everybody. I need you on there tomorrow. Give me a call, 949-374-0786. I don't care if you're a member of the website or not. If you've been out fishing, we need to know. Call me, 949-374-0786. All right, everybody, I'm going to go spend some time with my beautiful wife and my silly monkey that's running around behind me. Have a great night. Turn off the news. They're all lying. This is the only place you get the truth. See ya.